All right. Hi, everyone. It's me, Sailor Moon, Serena here. And me, Sailor Mars, Sailor Redworld Ray here. And today, well, we're going to talk about, you know, what was good about the Deke Sailor Moon. Because you always hear about folks always saying something bad about it, scathing it, shaming it, guilting it, saying that it's unwatchable or Now, yes, it is true that it was skimmed and cleaned and shifted in many ways. It's true that borrowed names were shifted out for other borrowed names. It's true that near names and street names and strike names, shifted from following to following. But did that make it bad to watch? No, I don't think it did. You know, a lot of folks who unlike it or hate it or wanted nothing to do with it grew up on it. Well, not everyone, but a lot of them did. And they only came up with their belief that it was bad or no good after A, looking it up on the interwebs, either at Learn or at the book house or whatever. Or maybe they were lucky and they could afford a reckoner at a time where reckoners were worth a lot. And unless you were a business of some kind, only way you could afford one. No, let's just say they were lucky and they got one and they looked up Sailor Moon and learned where Disney and Deke did the shifting at and learned to have a hatred towards it. Now, the names being shifted is not a big deal to me. I don't see a big deal about Dawnish names being shifted out for Latinist, Frenchish, Spanish, Hebrewish, Farsiest, Hellenish, and even Blacklandish names. Why they make a big deal about it, I don't know. But so I looked at it and never made a big deal out of it. And as far as some of the fighting goes, some of the things being skimmed out, like, being cut or blood or whatever, was that a big deal? I don't think that took away from the saga. It did not. I wasn't irked over it. And I liked it. At the end of the day, it was still good. But a lot of folks out there made a big deal about those things. And why? Who knows? Another thing they make a big deal over was, two sagas becoming one. As you know, when I fought Queen Beryl, it wasn't one whole saga, it was three. It was most likely 2 or 3 sagas, maybe 2. And a lot of folks made a big deal about that, but I didn't. You don't have to have, if you can tell the saga in one fall, and if you can tell the saga in one follow, if you could tell it, the tale in one saga, then you don't have to make it longer. So I never made a big deal about that, and I don't. Yeah, you're right, you're right, Sailor Moon. These same folks make a big deal about, the Dark Kingdom kidnapping us instead of slaying us. I don't know why they make a big deal about it. It's like they think, oh, lazy writing or something. Like in their mind, that's what they believe. And why they made a big deal about it being one saga instead of 2 sagas is beyond me. But they made a big deal out of it. Just like they bitched about street names being shifted and near names being shifted and strike names being shifted. I don't know why I made a big deal out of it. When I watch it, that doesn't irk me at all. Alright, it is what it is. And as we get into That was just some of the things that they bitched about as far as Sailor Moon, the first following goes of it. I mean, that's not including, them irked over how Deacon Disney skipped over some of the followings, of it, or, changed, or shifted what was said or done. Big deal. That was still watchable to me. And you do got Fighter for Love fan dub or follower dub if you want to see Deke's take on those followings, if they ever did get those sagas, if they ever did get the Disney Deke work. And then when you get to Sailor Moon R, they make a big deal about, about Rini, about her gun being skimmed. Yeah, why would alright, Need Be over in Dawnland, it was alright for some kid in a drawing show to pull a gun out, even if it was a toy gun, But I didn't make a big deal about the gun not being there, because it didn't take away from the saga or the tale. Rini was still being a bully. She was still picking on Serena more than, and yes, Rini was getting away with it. And sadly, Serena's mother and father and brother guilted her for everything that was guilted her for everything that Rini said or did, which was wrong. Serena wasn't guilty of some of those things. And a lot of folks bitched about, Rini being a bully, which she was, and most of Sailor Moon are in the beginning. And Deacon Disney did not skim that out, they kept it in. And at the end of the day, a lot of folks saying, oh, I don't like Sailor Says. Well, Sailor Says was needed back in the day when an oversight for farcier shows where you had to have some learning. And if you didn't have learning, you had to somehow get it. So it was Deke's way of getting learning in there. And I didn't see anything wrong about that. And some of those, you could learn something from it. So, yeah, I still thought that was good. Hey, even the songs were good too. And I know a lot of folks out there like to make a big deal about, and say, oh, but those songs aren't the Toei songs. That's true. They're not the Toei songs, but the Deke songs that they made for it had put a lot of thought into it. And I like those songs. So, yeah, there's some good things right there. You get self-growth. They didn't take that away. Yeah, you're right, Sailor Mars. You're right, Ray, Sailor Red World. There are many things that one could like about the Deke Sailor Moon if they were open-minded enough to overlook all the other things like we are and always have been and will. So, those are some of the grounds to what made the Deke Sailor Moon. Or do we call it the Wild Brine Sailor Moon? We don't really know who owns this Sailor Moon or not. Or is it just outlist somewhere? No one owns it. We don't know. So give this film a like, share and playlist it, and we'll see you later.